Hi everybody, it's Lori Bradley and I'm here in St. Louis, Missouri, and we are here for lunch with Lori. I apologize, I was a little late today. We've had internet trouble and my husband was on the phone with the internet company, and anyway, here we are. We're a little late, sorry. Hopefully you've already eaten your lunch and you are here for dessert. Ooh, that sounds good. Chocolate maybe? Anyway, the new catalog is live. It's been going on for a couple of weeks. We have new in colors, we have new bundles, new suites, lots of great things going on. And today I'm going to show you an online exclusive because, you know, I'm a little bit partial to those because people don't see them. But I'm going to show you the Sunrise Sailing bundle. I did show one sample on my catalog launch. It's not here on my desk. So I've got 3 other samples. So now you will have 4 ideas on what to do with that bundle. And they're all a little bit different. The only thing, the beauty of this bundle is that it has a hybrid embossing folder, which means that we can die cut and emboss all at the same time. We can run it through once and have it done both ways. I'm only going to show you the things separately. I didn't do none of my cards right now today are the hybrid, but I'm going to show you the hybrid just so you know what that looks like. All right, so let's get going. We'll turn around here and you can see what we've got. All right, my light is a little glary there. Sorry about that. Okay, so the bundle, the stamp set, it has some great words. The happy retirement. I actually needed a retirement card not too long ago and didn't have one. And so we have the congratulations, happy retirement, best wishes. You're destined for great things. I actually have to do, I've volunteered, I don't have to, some cards for our son's college that he went to. There's a group, and so I'm going to use the You're Destined for Great Things for some incoming freshman college students. So there's the stamp set, and then we've got the embossing folder, which is super fun. It's got the water at the bottom, and then the clouds and the sailboat. And then let me show you the dies really quick. We're going to make water. Actually, I've already done all the die cutting today, so you don't have to wait on me to do that. But we have the sailboat. We have 2 smaller sailboats, clouds, and die cut birds. There is no way on this earth that I'm going to die cut those birds because you know as well as I do that I would lose those. So I'm going to just settle for stamping my birds. But I want to show you how this works. You would put your paper in here and then this fits onto that sailboat just like this. And it only fits one way. There's a kind of a groove. And then you would close your embossing folder and you would run it through and it would be embossed and die cut all at the same time, which is pretty amazing actually. So, all right, so there's that. Now let's make some cards. My first thought when I think about sailing is nautical things, right? So when I think of nautical things, I think of red and navy. And so that's where the idea from this particular card or the color scheme came from. So I have a real red card base. Fold that in half. All right, so there's that. And we have our navy panel. We're not going to glue that on yet. And we've got my white panel. Now, what we're going to do for this one is we are going to take a blending brush. And I apologize, we're going to do a lot of blending today with the blending brush, and so it might actually shake my table a little more than usual, so I just apologize in advance. Now I'm going to do this fairly lightly. I'm just going to use my Azure Afternoon. I'm going to start off the side, and then I'm just going to do the bottom half. Hope you're not seasick because my table's moving a little bit. Unfortunately, that's just how my table is, and I haven't gotten that all straightened out. All right, now it's okay that's a little bit splotchy because our water is going to be, water's not all one color, right? So we're gonna, all right, so now I've got my water, but I want it to have a little bit more texture than that. So in the stamp set, there is a water line. And so I'm going to just stamp some water, some ripples in the water. Now, if I do it this way, I think it's a little dark. I don't want it to be the star of this show. So I'm gonna stamp off, and then I'm just gonna stamp on. Doesn't have to be absolutely covered. Oop. Guess I should try a little harder to make sure that my lines are on there. Come back in there. There we go. Okay. Because my boat is going to be on here too. So we have some lines. They look a little weird by themselves, but I promise you that once we get our boat on there, we'll be okay. Okay? All right, now, my boat, I'm gonna stamp it. I'm gonna stamp it in Night of Navy, and I have already stamped and die cut it, but I'm gonna show you how this stamp works. All right, I've got my Night of Navy. I'm going to stamp my sailboat on my paper here. All right, whoop. Got my sailboat. Now I need the sails, and for the sails, I'm going to make those real red stripes. And so the sail stamp actually stamps both sides, and it's a little bit watercolory, so don't get alarmed if it doesn't stamp exactly how you want it. All right, so we have our nautical theme. Then we need the boat. We actually need the boat at the bottom. The stamp fits the boat, the little triangle goes into there, and then the boat bottom. Luckily it's photopolymer and you can actually see. You're gonna have to come closer to me though, sorry. All right, so there's our boat. Then we would run that through with the die. And it will magically come out on the other side looking like this. Okay. Now, I've die cut waves and splash into the bottom of another piece of white that I'm going to glue on at the top. Okay. We're going to glue it up here and then put our boat on. But before we do that, I'm going to take, I die cut a circle using stylish shapes, and I'm going to make the sun. I'm going to put the sun up here in my sky, and I'm just going to use a blending brush and crushed curry ink. Do that right there. I'm going to start off and then make my sun. Doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously we don't look at the sun, but I guarantee it's not all one color. And there we go. Now we have our sun in the sky. And then let's do a couple of birds just flying around up here. Yeah, I'd much rather stamp these than to die cut them because yeah, you all know what would happen. All right, now you're destined for great things. I'm gonna stamp that right about here, I think. Let me make sure I'm straight. Okay. Now I can close my navy ink pad because now we can glue it together. We're going to glue this onto our other white base. I cut those exactly the same width, so there's no gap and no overhang. And then that's going to look like there's some splashes along the bottom. The water splashing up into the sky. Let's go ahead and glue this piece down. We're going to put this on our navy panel. So that's what I think of when I think of nautical. I think of navy and red and white, crisp lines. And then this piece I'm going to put on dimensionals, I think. I'll go ahead and pop that up. In my corners. If you are watching, what is your favorite new stamp set or bundle that was just released in May? Was it an online exclusive set? Was it a new catalog set? What was your favorite? Let me know. Let me know what you think, what you'd like to see. I take requests. All right, then we're going to put some small dimensionals on our sailboat. Pop him up so that he is sailing in the ocean here. Oh, I cannot believe that it is May 21st. We are about to wrap up our youngest son's junior year, and I'm a little bit ready for summer. I think actually summer might be a little crazier than usual, but I'm just looking forward to a little bit less rigid schedule. Let's put it that way. All right, so there's our first card for today. We have, like I said, the nautical red, white, and then our ocean with the waves. Okay, I'll set that aside. Now, the next one is a congratulations card, and it is going to have just die-cut sailboats in our water. Okay, and I also have some more die-cut water for you. All right, I have all the pieces cut, so that way we're not... Should have went ahead and glued these on here too, I think, but oh well. All right, actually let's go ahead and glue all those together, and that way we have them. I have 3 boats, and I die cut those. I cut the base in pecan pie. I have extra just in case I mess up. And I die cut the sails in Poppy Parade, Azure Afternoon, and Lemon Lolly. And there's the triangle of the boat, and it is just a straight triangle. I'm going to put some glue on each of those triangles. I'm going to use the liquid glue because I think that the Stampin' Seal would be a little bit too tricky. And this triangle fits on there, covers it right up. It is a little bigger than that triangle, so that's one of the reasons why I put the glue on the pecan pie piece, just so I don't have glue all over everything. There we go. I think the tall pointy thing is called a mast, I think. I might be wrong about that, but I think so. So a little bit of our mast sticks out the top. If that's not the right word, if you're a sailor, please correct me. All right, there's my sailboats. Easy peasy. It took just a couple minutes to die cut those. All right, now I want to make, looks like I got a little yellow on there. Hopefully that doesn't show. I'm going to take my Azure Afternoon, and I'm going to blend the background for the sky, but I want to do it very, very lightly, like just barely putting any color. Actually, I'm going to flip that over because that yellow will make me crazy. I'm just going to put some color on here. It's going to be a little bit mottled, and it won't be a solid color. Hopefully you can see this. I have not figured out why all of a sudden my Facebook Lives have gone farther away. They don't zoom in as far, because on my actual laptop I can see it looks farther away than my phone does in the holder, so I'm not sure what that's all about. All right, looks a little bit like a cloudy sky, right? All right, except the bottom is going to be the ocean. So we're going to take that same wave stamp that we used a minute ago, And we're gonna, this time I want it to be a little bit darker. I want it to be a, let's go this way, a little bit more visible. And let's go right about here. And then I'm gonna do a second step. I'm just gonna kind of scoot it down so there are more waves that look like they're not as dark. All right, there's our waves for our ocean. Put this aside. All right, let's go ahead, and I die cut one of the wave pieces. There are actually 2 of these in the bundle, but I only cut one for this card, and I'm gonna glue it on the back so that it looks like our little bit of waves and motion is going off the bottom for this one. Okay, so I'm just gonna put make sure I've got the right end. I'm gonna put the glue line right along the bottom. The die is actually about 6 inches long, so it's longer than a card. So you could easily, if you're a scrapbooker, put 2 of those together to make a whole wave line. If you're not, I just cut I'm gonna glue it on like that. Oops, I was trying to straighten it and I pulled it off. And I'm just gonna take my paper snips and snip those edges so that they're even. Just like that. All right, so then we've got our card base. I have a lemon lolly card base, and since it's so light, I'm gonna stamp right directly on there and hope I do it well because I only brought one over to my table. Wish me luck. We're gonna do congratulations. I actually have some graduation cards that I need to do, so I'm gonna do that in the Azure afternoon using my class here for the things I need. And I'm gonna put congratulations just right down here in the corner. There we go. All right, now I'm gonna put this aside. I'm done with my blending. I'm done with my stamping for this one. Now we're gonna glue this piece onto the card front, right in there. And it's just gonna get glued all the way down. Using my Stampin' Seal. Okay, this is your favorite adhesive. What is your favorite adhesive to use? That's my question for this minute. Hi Deidre, thanks for watching. All right, sorry, I think I might have just had a little more internet trouble. I apologize. We are having such a crazy internet. I thought my husband was gonna come unglued this morning because he was irritated. All right, now we're gonna put our sailboats on. Let's see, I'm gonna put my red one flat. It's gonna be my back one right here. And again, I'm gonna use the liquid glue because this one's gonna be flat and that's easier. Put him a little farther back. There's sailboat 1. Let's put the yellow one in the middle. And I'm gonna put it on dimensionals. Now this is kind of skinny. I keep moving my paper. Y'all are gonna be dizzy. All right. I'm gonna cut a skinny piece to go along that boat bottom so that it doesn't show. Just like that. This one might be too fat. Yeah. So these are, use those. And then I'm about to get fussy because I feel like my signal, it keeps telling me my signal is wonky. I apologize. I will post the pictures of all of my cards when we're done, in case that it doesn't go well. All right, actually, I forgot a cloud. I'm gonna one of the dies in the stamp set is a cloud. I'm gonna put a little glue on the back of that. Put that in our sky right up there, and then put our last boat in the water. And I need a couple of skinny my boat. This is our last boat. I'll put him right over here. All right, congratulations. We've got a nice sailboat in the ocean. All right, card number 3. Now this one's a little bit different. We are actually going to use the silhouette of a boat. All right, so the card base for this one is going to be a basic beige. I needed a neutral. I didn't want this one to be bright and flashy, and you'll understand why in just a second. One little piece of glue right here, I think, is what's causing me grief. Okay, now I ran a piece of Secret C, isn't that appropriate? Secret C cardstock through the embossing folder. So now I've got the waves, but it's embossed. It's not stamped on there on this one. So I've got that, and I die cut my sailboat out of black. I have a black silhouette this time. Okay, so I'm going to put that together so I can sit to worry about. All right, so now I've got my silhouette of a boat, which is not going to stay white. We are going to make a sunset. So I'm going to take my crushed curry. I have 3 colors here. I want a bright, pretty sunset. So we've got Melon Mambo and our new Timid Tiger, My Skies. That's the kind of sunset that I like. Okay, my yellow, here we go. All right, I've got my yellow crushed curry. If you use the blending brushes, if I had 2 different shades of yellow, you could use the same one. You could do it and then just brush your brush across your paper until the color stops, and then you can go on to the next color. Go from light to dark is probably best, but once you stop getting color on your paper, then you can go ahead and use that. All right, so here we go. We got crushed curry. And I'm going to start at the bottom, which in this case will be on the right side because we're going to make our sky. Let's start, like I said, with the yellow. We can always come back and add more. Then I'm going to go orange. So we've got the Timid Tiger, which is a great orange color, actually. And we're going to start with the orange. We're going to go... All the different colors are okay. The shadings, it's okay. We're good. We don't have to have a specific color. A little orange into that. Yellow down here. We're not going to see part of the yellow, but... And they will all look a little different. So when you blend yours, it'll look a little different. And then let's do some pink. I want that to be super dark. I want it to be noticeable. Now you can tell that I've got stripes, like I've got one color next to the other. Let's go ahead and blend those a little better. Because as you know, no 2 sunsets are the same. Sorry for all the shaking. I'm trying to... Okay. Here's tonight's sunset. I'll show you last night's sunset. Happy Retirement set, I feel like, is perfect with the sailing off into the sunset, right? Sailing off, I'm out of here. So I'm going to do Happy Retirement right up here. There we go. And maybe a couple of birds. Let's do a couple of birds, but I think that I might stamp off for those. I don't want them to be my... Okay, now we can go. All right, I don't want... The ocean is not flat 9 times out of 10, or 99 times out of 100. It's not flat. It doesn't look just like that. So let's make it a little bit wavy. I'm going to just tear the edge, just like this. I'm going to tear right across the top. make sure you tear only in one direction. You want all your tears to go the same direction. And then we're going to glue that piece onto our sunset piece. I think a sunset with a sailboat sailing off into the sunset. This is why I didn't want a bright cardstock color for my card base, because I thought that might be a little too bright. Now, let's put our sailboat in our ocean. Actually, let's go ahead and glue it down first, because once I put a dimensional on that, it'll be harder to glue. Then let's pop that piece up, and I actually have black dimensionals here on my desk, so let's use black because we don't want those to show. We want to hide our dimensionals as much as possible, so that way it just looks popped up, but you can't see those glaring white dimensionals. And then let's go ahead and put those on the back of our sailboat as well. And I'm going to try it. You can cut this shape too, it's just a little harder. All right, for the bottom of our boat. Okay. Stuck it to my finger. All right, now we're ready. All my dimensionals. So the backs are white, but the actual dimensionals, the sticky part, is black. So that works with any dark color. We could have used that on the navy piece on the other side too, I guess, but use the white. Whoop. Helps to do it upside straight. And then we'll put our sailboat in there. If you haven't already liked my YouTube page, be sure to like my YouTube page every Friday. I have a fun fold video of a new fun fold. So this week's video will be posted Friday morning, in addition to our Lunch with Lori things. All right, there we have our happy retirement, sailing off into the sunset. I have our congratulations that I'm going to use for a graduation card. And then we have our You're Destined for Great Things, and this is what I'm going to use for some incoming college students. So I will look forward to seeing you all back here next Wednesday at 1:30, and we'll have our Lunch with Lori class on that day. I hope you have a great, if you're in the United States, a happy Memorial Day weekend. And if you're not in the United States, just have a regular great weekend yourselves. So I'll see you back next week. Thanks for watching.